This is Movietone. Leslie Mitchell reporting. Looking back to 1940, back 35 years to the miracle of Dunkirk. The German blitzkrieg was sweeping towards the Channel ports, and the British Expeditionary Force was already hemmed in against the sea. 1914-18 was described as the war to end all wars, but in 1940 it was all happening again. This time it was the jackboot of Hitler's Nazi movement that was marching across Europe. The whole enormity of war, beyond comprehension, changing the lives of men, families, and nations. Today, Ramsgate Harbour again sees the gathering of the little ships, small pleasure craft that were enlisted by the Admiralty to form the strangest flotilla the world had ever seen. The wartime Operation Dynamo that started on the 26th of May becomes Operation Hopeful as some 20 vessels of the Association of Little Ships set sail on this commemorative voyage. Many of the surviving little ships are spread throughout the world, in Malta, California, and even on Canada's Lake Ontario. The fleet is escorted by HMS Solent, a coastal minesweeper, but today there's no danger from submarines, aircraft or mines, just the constant flow of commercial shipping and ferries in the Channel. The Thames sailing barge Ina, largest of the little ships. One of the smallest, only 29 feet, L'Orage, originally called Surrey and now owned by Raymond Baxter.
Everyone who had a boat of any kind, steam or sail, put out for Dunkirk. Altogether there came to the rescue of the army, under the ceaseless air bombardment of the enemy, about 850 vessels, of which nearly 700 were British and the rest Allied.
The Luftwaffe made a determined effort to smash the evacuation docks, and before long, entry for bigger ships became impossible through the jungle of wreckage. The little ships, however, thanks to their shallow draft, were able to go in even to the beaches and carry troops to the larger vessels waiting offshore. Although some German aircraft got through to the beaches, the RAF drew the Luftwaffe away from the scene and assured the success of the Dunkirk deliverance. Again, the Channel remains calm for the little ships, but this time the harbour offers safe moorings and there's a warm welcome from the people of Dunkirk. These boats worked solidly for 3 days and nights, bringing off troops. The Ina, along with other barges, carried food and medical supplies for the beleaguered forces. The Royal National Lifeboat Institution, too, played a major and heroic part in the evacuation. At the town hall, the mayor and citizens of Dunkirk give a reception for the members of the Association of Little Ships. The mayor presented plaques to the owners to commemorate this anniversary voyage, which will possibly be the last. Today, the 9 miles of beaches are for the holidaymaker only. The remains of ships, forgotten, almost buried in the sand, serve to remind those who are interested what happened here. The evacuation of an army. Very little news film was shot at Dunkirk. Even newsreel cameraman Charles Martin, who shot these famous pictures, put his camera aside to help load the troops aboard. Over 338,000 troops, including 115,000 French, were carried off. At 3:30 a.m. on the 4th of June, the last ships of Operation Dynamo left the shores of Dunkirk. To mark the anniversary, planes of the RAF Historic Section fly over the assembled ships. A Spitfire, a Hurricane and a Lancaster bomber. A fitting tribute from the Royal Air Force, who would have become Britain's main defence in the months that lay ahead. A Wessex Helicopter flies over the little fleet as they form up in a circle before their homeward voyage. And the helicopter, hovering low over the sea, drops a wreath. Every year, the number of old soldiers who return armed with nostalgia and memories grows less. Ornate memorials mark the spot for future generations who may take the time and trouble to remember. At the Commonwealth War Graves Commission Cemetery, the plain white headstones will always tell the story. Was it perhaps the stigma of defeat that turned the Dunkirk evacuation into a well-ordered withdrawal? Or was it the fact that Britain now stood alone which conjured up that famous Dunkirk spirit? Certainly, it was also the plain, honest courage shown by 4,500 members of the British Expeditionary Force who did not return from Dunkirk. It will never be described more fittingly than by the words of Winston Churchill.
Hitler knows that he will have to break us in this island or lose the war. If we can stand up to him, all Europe may be freed, and the life of the world may move forward into broad, sunlit uplands. Let us therefore brace ourselves to our duty, so bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will still say, this was their finest hour.